Dear Rentals Club members, thank you for joining us today. I'm with Terry White, and Terry, together with Matt Landau, is the creator of the Keystone Awards. So if you are a property manager, vacation rental owner, or a vendor, that's going to be super interesting to you today because we'll be talking about what's an award for vendors in the vacation rental tech industry. What's a good vendor basically? What to look out for a good vendor? How can I be ranked as a good vendor? What am I missing? What's a good demo? So all kind of topics we're going to be uncovering today. But without further ado, Terry, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well. Excited to be here.
So for people who don't know the vacation rental marketing blog or who you are, Terry or Matt, could you maybe just introduce them to us?
Well, the Keystone Awards it was really Matt Landau's idea, and what it was never a plan. It was born out of all the demos that we did, all the minefield of data that we had. We started recognizing trends, and then we seen companies that were really accelerating, that were clearly standout companies. And then Matt said, wouldn't it be a great idea if we just gave these guys a little bit of recognition? So there was never this grand, elaborate plan in place. And then after it took off, to our surprise, it was a big deal in the industry. And then we decided, okay, we got to take this to the next level. And so the first Keystone Awards were just a one-off kind of thing. But then after that, we decided we're really going to get serious about this. And what we did then was we brought in user feedback. Was a big part of the next. Don't take our word for it. I know you see what we see now. We're going to people that actually use the software. Now we're going to get their opinion. Does it work for them? What's their pain points? And so I think that really helped too.
So what's fascinating here, and is that for example, let's talk about the rental property management systems. That's a big chunk of what you do, and if people think about how a PMS basically is, or a channel manager, it's this piece of software very important to run a business. And there's not much information. It's always like a black box, right? What are they? What do they do? How do I compare each and every one? And can I get a demo? So what's crazy about this in the work you did? As you just said, right? You basically you did live demos, and I don't know how you did this, but being yourself or somebody else doing these live demos, you look at the reviews, user feedback is just said, all this combination, and you have this very complex and detailed like grid or tool that you have, and then you can extract different views on the data you have to really be able to rank the property management software according to different criteria. So can you again explain to us maybe how you created this ranking, what's in there, maybe some part of the secret sauce that goes into it?
The way it started was I was looking for software for myself, so I've been through this so many times, but then it progressed to the point where Matt said to me, you've been through this so many times that you need to document all this stuff. So what I did was I created this spreadsheet and I broke down the 30 core components of what I thought would make a good PMS. And then when I did thousands of hours of demos with all these companies. But then what I started doing was I started grading every component of their software from 0 to 5. So that's example 0 would be if you don't have a guest portal, 0. If it's a good one, it's a 5. If not, that kind of thing. And then so compiled all this together, and then we found this platform called Qualtrics, where we put all this data into it. And then we created a survey, kind of a survey thing, where people would come and say, we'd ask these questions, they would answer what's important to them, high level, medium level, low level, and then we inputted it into our software. And then after that, that spit out the 3 to 5 best recommendations for the answers that you gave, and our matrix put together. These are the 3 best softwares, but we're not saying they're the right software for you. This is where you should be looking. This is where you should narrow it down, start doing your demos here, and find the right software for you.
I think it's very interesting, right? Using I think 30 data points, you said there's 30 data points, different views and a ranking. And as you said, it's like, okay, that's what we have. make your own decision for yourself as well, and what you should be looking into. And I think what's interesting as well for the PMSs, for example, you also divided the ranking into two categories. I think the ones for large property managers, I would say, and the ones for smaller ones. What are the key differences between these two flavors of the systems?
The bigger, more powerful ones, they clearly stand out against the competition. However, that doesn't say that everything they do is better than the smaller ones. It's a real mixture. For example, I would say the one single biggest difference between the really big, powerful PMSs and the ones that aren't is trust accounting. A lot of them don't offer it, so that's a big one. Another one, there's a reason that I cannot explain, but it's a fact for sure, is trust accounting means more to property managers in the United States than it does in Europe. And I have no idea why, but I can't explain it, but it does. Like we have property managers come to us with 40 properties and they just have to have trust accounting. Then that's in the United States. And then in Europe, you'd have property managers with 1,000 properties that trust accounting really isn't that big a deal to them, So when you break it down, they don't all do everything the best. They do more things better than the rest.
So if I'm looking at the awards and also what you share maybe more in the community, in the vacation rental VRMB community. If I'm a US property manager from Canada or from Europe or from Asia, for example, I can sort of try to understand how you rank things and say, okay, they took this into account of that, and this matters to me. So I can also make all sort of my own idea about how the ranking work for me.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And so there's only not just PMSs in your awards. So what are maybe you have other third-party vendors that you're considering? So what are key categories you looked at, for example?
Yeah, I want to be really clear on this. The third-party software is that we didn't break them down and like demo them to death, like we did with the PMSs. They're industry leaders we see every day. We're talking to property managers. When you listen to podcasts, when you read blogs, these companies you hear over and over and over again. There's 10 of them in total, and I presently use or have used 7 of them. So I know them pretty well. But it's just those were just more recognition. The other ones, like the PMSs, that was pure hard data that we broke those out.
So obviously in the notes with this video, we'll link to the page where people can see the actual ranking. But that's why I want people to there's great ranking. You should go in there, because if I just read through the ranking, there's not much value here, and I really want people to go and see the page. But some learnings here. So what's basically, when you look at the top vendors, for example, what are the things they are doing well, according to you?
They have just the most. They're serving customers that there's a need for something that the PMS is not providing them with. For example, there's hardly a cleaning maintenance module in any PMS that is even usable. So that's when you have properly, it's got properly, you have Breezeway, what you have too is revenue management. What they all have in problem is they have great platforms. They're serving a need that's out there that's not being met. And above all, what they really do well is they really understand customer service. They're outstanding at customer service.
So when things go wrong, basically, there are a lot of things they do right, but so they're good when things go wrong.
That's right. Yes.
That's very interesting. And so what about the other vendors? What do some vendors get wrong about our industry?
I would say it's plug and play. That these PMSs, I think they're kind of taking the easy way out, and they're plugging and playing where they could be doing, there's some things that they should be doing themselves. And for example, if you look at Cyrus, what they're doing now with their guest portal, which is basically a guidebook, and then you look at what they're doing with their maintenance, cleaning and maintenance module, instead of plugging and playing with somebody, they developed their own. They got their own developers, engineers, they developed their own module. And I think the story of the year to me was Zebu as a PMS. Like in 1 year to be that strong, it's just an amazing story. he's not overly consumed with plug and play. That platform was built out of a need, or the other PMSs weren't servicing his needs, so he built it himself. And I think when you look at Avantio, you look at their distribution. First thing that comes to mind is, what do you need a channel manager for? Same thing with Zevo, is they're doing things that the PMS is capable of doing, and they're doing it. And this plug and play thing, I think they're going to live to regret it in the long run.
Super interesting. But do you see this thing about different kind of vendors? But you think there's I put it differently. Do you see vendors from, let's say, the hotel world or other kind of worlds trying to come into the industry? And are there things maybe they do not get about the complexity maybe of a property management company, and that sometimes they introduce some features or they try to go after the market and they fail?
Yeah, I don't know. They all seem to service a need, and again, they all have value, some kind of value in them, and to say the worst PMS I've ever seen is 1,000 times better than spreadsheets and Google Calendars. So, they all do a pretty good job. I could count on one hand the number of PMSs I would say are just a waste of time, because they're all pretty good at what they do.
What's the worst demo you've ever had, and why was it bad?
Well, it started off, I knew how bad it was going to go, because they said, when I said, okay, I want to take a look at your platform, and said, okay, we'll schedule a 20-minute meeting. And then I thought, okay, it takes a minimum of 90 minutes to go through. If the person on the other end, if they're good at what they do, and for my rhythm going through it, it takes 90 minutes to 2 hours to do. And then this one vendor, and they spend a lot of money, on marketing. And we go to the VRMA, they have a booth down there, and they said, yeah, we've got 20 minutes for you. It was the worst demo I ever had in my life. It's one of the worst softwares I've ever seen in my life. And you could tell right from the start where it was going.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting from the get-go, right? And how much time are they willing to spend with you to understand your problems, and how their software will solve your problems. That's interesting.
And for me, as much experience that I have with this, to spend 2 hours demoing a good software, you're basically scratching the surface of it. Those platforms are so strong and so complex. Again, 2 hours, you're scratching the surface.
So that's doing the demo, this thing. So and I think, speaking of demos, I think Matt and you put together a book, an ebook, I would say, called The Agile Approach: How to Build the Ultimate VR Tech Stack. And I think there you talk about what's a good demo, for example. Can you maybe talk a bit about this ebook that people can buy on your website? Again, we'll link to it.
It's basically giving you the questions to ask in a demo, recognizing what they're not answering, recognizing what questions you should be answering, and don't stop until you get the answer to it. It's basically taking what I designed and giving you access to it. So
basically, the book, The Agile Approach, is like a small investment. I think it's into like either saving time or not making costly mistakes, right? If I may put this.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's a way to cheat.
Exactly. So if I'm a property manager or vacation rental owner, what's the best way to know more about the Keystone Awards and to get the rankings and this?
Go to VRMB, Matt Landau's VRMB. It's housed there. And if you want information from me, I'm the vacationrentalsoftwareguy.com. I can answer any questions that you have.
Vacationrentalsoftwareguy.com. And that's for property managers and vacation managers. Let's imagine now I'm the guy or the girl, I don't know, who gave you that very bad demo you talked about. Or more basically, I want to improve. I want to understand why I'm not among the top 5, for example. How could vendor do that? Can they get some data? What can they do?
Pretty much after any demo I do, I get an email either later that day or the next morning asking, saying, okay, where could we be better? Don't hold back. Give us your honest opinion. So, I do, and I give them my honest opinion. I try not to be too critical,
Okay, so if I contact you, can I contact you as a vendor as well? And can I contact the VR software guy to know a bit more about what I should be doing?
Yes, for sure. I've seen thousands of hours in it, and I can pinpoint it pretty quickly when something's going wrong.
Fantastic. So once again, thank you so much on behalf of the industry of putting together these awards, and again explaining a bit more, what's behind. As a data guy, I'm always excited to know there's data points and different views on the data and a matrix. I think it's pretty exciting, but in the end, what does it mean? It's about saving time, helping people making the right decision. So, long live the Keystone Awards. And so, Terry White, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.